What's up, guys? Jeremy and Brandon here from friendofrc.com giving you our review of the Slash 4x4. Certainly a lot of what we're going to say has been said before, but we own the truck. Is actually one of my very first trucks. You've had the Slash 4x4 for probably longer than me.
Yep, I've owned it since it came out.
Yeah, so we've got a lot to say, so listen up. Starting out with, as usual, the technical side of things. I should address, there are so many different ways you can buy the Slash 4x4. You can buy it ready to run. You can buy it as the ultimate. You can buy it as, which is basically a ready to run-ish version with some upgrades like the center diff and things like that, right?
Right, yep.
You can buy the Platinum, which is the kit that's got all the upgrades you might want, plus Valenion.
Yeah,
right?
It's a kit, but it's really 100% pre-assembled. So you
Sure.
got a ready-to-go chassis, you throw in a radio and a battery, and it's good to go.
Yeah, it's somebody who bought the ready to run, but not any of the specifics, because I was too intimidated by the kit up front. If you want to upgrade it or race it, buy either the Ultimate if you don't want to deal with it, or the Platinum Edition if you want, because if you want the upgrades, because the price you pay aftermarket for the upgrades that are like a necessity, in my opinion, for the Slash, it's you're way better off.
Yeah, it's cheaper definitely to get Platinum or Ultimate if you're planning on going that way eventually.
What you'll see in this truck are pretty much, it's RPM'd out from front to back. So you've got the RPM bumper, A-arms, Nerf bars, rear bumper. It's been upgraded to the big bore shocks. It's got a center diff, all those great things. Cooling on both the motor and the ESC. If you run in a track type environment indoors, you're going to want that. A lot of people do venting and all that stuff. I'd rather just put a fan on there and be all right.
Yeah, it's almost a must on a track scenario.
Yeah.
Upgraded steering servo?
Yep, you'll see the Team Associated upgraded steering servo here. Out of the box, the ready to run, really any of the ones with the steering servo, it's just not enough juice, not enough steering throw.
Yeah, a little more speed for a track scenario again. We're kind of referring to track most of the time.
Yep. That's what drove a lot of the upgrades you see on here. Out of the box, some of the upgrades that I would say you can't go without is the center diff, upgraded steering servo. Other than that, the cooling, you're going to want a cooling on both the ESC and the motor if you run indoors.
Yeah, right. That's key on a track.
The RPM stuff, that's all fine and dandy. You don't need it.
It kind of comes, after the fact. As you break parts, if RPM makes it, you buy that part. You don't necessarily put it on right away. You can see we got the stock rear A-arms only because we didn't have a problem breaking those yet. So once we break them, definitely go in RPM. It's a must.
Yeah, and also the big bore shocks are a must, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I can clarify the difference between the ready to run and the Platinum and Ultimate are big bore shocks, center differential. You get a sway bar kit. You get aluminum front steering components and aluminum rear axle carriers. So that's the changeover. And like you're saying, a must for upgrade. It's definitely big bore shocks. Sway bar kits are nice. Aluminum parts are nice. The center diff for the track is almost a must.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of cost, now that I think we've covered all the technical specs here, out of the box you can run up to a 3S LiPo. Maybe we didn't mention that. You've got the Valenion brushless motor.
Yep. That's the only way it comes, only brushless, guys.
So in cost of operation, it really kind of depends on your application, right? The tires that come with it, if you're not bashing, then those have no value. You're going to upgrade
on the track
those.
they're useless, right?
Yeah. Other than that, you're really just replacing plastic. You've got enough power out of the box, no doubt.
Yep, the power system is, the Valenion is plenty powerful, right?
Yep, and it's all waterproof. And because this platform is so popular, there's an absolute ton of aftermarket parts, which will also drive the price down. There's many providers, Energy, RPM, obviously Traxxas has both their kind of stock replacement parts and then their upgraded parts. So it drives the price down all the way across the board. So I would say cost of operation is pretty good.
Yeah, it's very low. I was impressed in terms of all the RC vehicles I've owned in my lifetime. I bought it for bashing more than racing. I think I spent the least amount of money on my 4x4, and when I say bashing, I mean bashing. Only jumping the biggest jumps we can find over and over again, driving it in really cold winter conditions, and the most you spend is maybe you buy a pair of RPM A-arms and you never buy them again. It's such a simple design that they have here, so there's not a whole lot of parts to worry about breaking.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's very few things that have actually broken. The bumpers out of the box, those are pretty weak. You find that in most ready-to-runs. So the replacement there. The Nerf bars, they broke pretty quick.
Yeah, those were on mine almost useless. I'd break them just grabbing it by the Nerf bars.
Yeah. But other than that, in terms of like tires, you have a absolute ton of tire selections.
Yeah.
The RPM parts are dirt cheap. So cost of operation is great. Fun factor, also great. Out of the box, you don't need anything if you're going to bash.
Right. Yeah, if you just bash her, you're going to love this truck. Everyone I've sold it to comes back with a smile on their face because they got an idea in their heads of what bashing's about, and then you actually go out and drive it and beat it and put it through its paces, and you realize it keeps on kicking. And you're just so thrilled to have a truck that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on.
Yeah, and that's really the advantage of the Slash, even though it's a couple years older than some of the other 4x4s out there, like the SC10 4x4 or the Losi 4x4. I mean, it still holds its own several years. I mean, the Losi comes out now, the SC10 4x4 comes out now, 2 years later almost, and the Slash still, I mean, in terms of value and fun factor, I almost think like, it holds its own for sure.
Yeah, I still, at the hobby shop I work at, I'm still selling these, almost daily. It's like become the most popular. It's almost a common name now among RCers. If you don't have a Slash, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to have a Slash you can bash.
It's it's table stakes for the 4x4 stroke horse truck driver that likes to bash and dabbles in racing. Is it set up for like a hardcore racer? Probably not.
Yeah, you'll definitely spend a little bit of coin getting it ready for the track or keeping up with your mod class at your local track.
Yeah, but how it performs, I'll say, out of the box, you've got crazy speed. It's completely waterproof. It's in most cases bulletproof.
Yep.
So for bashing, it performs great. For racing, even if you get the Ultimate, you're going to spend a little bit of money. Tires, A-arms, you're going to want to upgrade the steering servo, things like that.
It's about 75% of the way there if you're going to do a true race. Unless you're obviously in a box stock class, then you're okay. But yeah, you're going to want to do some of the upgrades you see here and maybe a few others as you go down the road.
Yeah, things like stub axles and things like that you're going to break over time, but they're not really going to, the upgrades that you pay there aren't going to really affect how you perform per se.
Right. Yep.
They're more about, not breaking stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it does well at not breaking stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, out of the box, performs great. The fact that you can just pop in a 3S LiPo and just blaze.
Yeah, go crazy.
You can't really beat the price. Whether you go RTR, kit, Ultimate, Platinum, it doesn't really matter. If you're just a straight basher, the RTR is probably fine.
Yeah. The value does go up as you go to the Ultimate or Platinum if you have a radium battery already, but the Ready to Run is truly a great truck. I think you said this was a Ready to Run to begin with, and the upgrades we've done, it's made about half the way to an Ultimate, and we still having no problem with it. Doing great on the track, doing great in bashing, so yeah, it really holds its own.
Yeah, and in terms of whether or not I buy it again, I think we both own them, so it's safe to say we would.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I would, if I could change one thing, I would go back and buy the Platinum Edition.
Sure.
Certainly. Yeah. I was intimidated by a kit at first. I was like, oh, God, it's a kit. Then I realized later, well, it's not really a kit. It's, all the stuff I bought, the center diff, the stub axle upgrades, all that stuff, I paid way more a la carte, one-off kind of upgrades at the track than I care to admit.
Yeah.
If I would have bought the Platinum Edition right out of the box, I would have upgraded the steering servo. That would have been it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd be the exact same boat as you. Now, I did buy the Platinum when I first got it because I had a radio already, so I opted for that one. And honestly, all I bought for mine was the RPM A-arms, so I would absolutely buy it again. I've been 100% satisfied with this truck.
Yeah, if you're new to the hobby or you want to get into, four-wheel drive short cross truck, which is the only thing that, unless you race, get a four-wheel drive short cross truck, in my opinion. Two-wheel drive, unless you have a smooth dirt surface to run it on, it's pretty boring.
Yeah, you're a little more limited. Like you said, you got to have the optimal terrain, where a truck like this with all-wheel drive, you can really take on almost anything.
Yeah, concrete, dirt, short-ish grass. You want to be careful with grass because you'll create a lot of resistance and heat. But really, for just sick jumps and just all-around fun factor, this is probably still the best short course truck to buy out of the box. People will argue about racing. Obviously, the new Losi does pretty well. The jury's still out on the SC10 4x4, but I'd buy it again. You'd buy it again.
I'd buy it again.
That's right. So if you have any questions, we get a lot of questions about it, like our specific setup here. Post them up on down below. Check out our website at friendofrc.com or join the conversation over at rcnightmare.com. Thanks.
See you guys.